State Program Approval Council. He was named the Somerset County Teacher of the Year during the 2017-18 academic year. He and his cohort of County Teachers of the Year are on a mission to inspire, empower, and connect with educators to make real connections that make a real difference. We are delighted he is with us tonight to provide closing remarks. Mike Skombaugh, would you please come up to deliver the closing remarks?
So I'm going to lead with a question. This is kind of a funny question because it's June, end of the school year, but educators are a different breed. So raise your hand if you're excited for next school year. Raise your hand up high. I just want to prove a point. Let's clap it up for educators right now. We are different, right? We have a different perspective on our profession. Right, you've heard it multiple times, right? This is the most honorable profession, and that's a proof point. But first off, I'd like to congratulate everyone on this well-deserved honor. And thank you for joining the good fight. You're about to enter the most honorable profession. I am 2018 County Teacher of the Year, but I'm also a recovering student teacher that tried to do way too much. So raise your hand if you've fallen asleep at your desk this year, student teachers. Raise your hand. Be honest. Okay, a couple sheepish hands over there, I see it. And when I thought about this speech, the best thing I could share was my story and what I learned from my experience transitioning into the workforce. So let me paint you a picture. I had some bad habits when I was a student teacher. I always stayed late in my cooperating teacher's classroom. I worked all night when I got home, often falling asleep at my desk. Full disclosure. I wake up early, grab a cup of coffee, and start the whole process over again. I obsessed over the details, right? Although respectable, I thought I had to be John Keating from Dead Poet Society, or Jaime Escalante from Stand Deliver. Those are the movies that I loved. Right? There was a lot of I in that process. I also forgot to be me, right? Every lesson had to be perfect. I would scour resources day and night, looking for the most dynamic driving question. I was looking for that text that would unlock that most critical thinking, but it wasn't working for me, right? I was white knuckling. When my student teaching was over, the students wrote me letters and compiled them in a book. To my surprise, none of them opened with how much they learned from my lesson about Mesopotamia. They wrote about how I made them feel. None of them mentioned the web quest that I spent 10 hours on one weekend. They didn't even mention the DBQ or the company rubric that I tweaked for the weeks leading up to the summative assessment. They wrote about how I made them feel about social studies, how I made them feel about themselves as learners. They wrote about the collaborative project we did with the other social studies classrooms. After reading that book, I have to admit, my eyes started to sweat a little bit. I felt like I had unlocked some sort of big secret. As I obsessed over the details of the content, I overlooked the most important part of my job, empowering the leaders and the problem solvers of tomorrow. And I overlooked the most fundamental aspect of teaching, collaboration. I wish I could say that some sort of magical switch was flipped in the terms of me conceptualizing this profession, but truth be told, I kept going on with the same patterns for the first couple years of my career. My first year was a little unique. I taught on the Navajo Nation, where I thought that first year I could single-handedly fix Native education. My next year of teaching, I went back to my alma mater, Somerville High School, and I thought the first day of school I was going to prove to all the teachers that gave me detention, right, that I was a good teacher. It wasn't until year 4 or 5 that I actually realized that I was better at being me. Not O Captain, my captain, or math coach extraordinaire, Jaime Escalante. I was best when I was Mr. Skombaugh. You see, teachers are doers with big hearts. There's nothing we can't do, and there's certainly not a kid who can't be helped. Lofty ambitions and goals are great, right? It's what wakes us up in the morning. All right, but I think we should all have them, but we have to think about the attainable first steps. What happens when that given tree gives its last branches? Too many teachers' eyes open march into that proverbial teacher burnout. Through the help of great mentors and colleagues at my alma mater, who I still didn't call by their first name because I went there, I came to the realization that if I wanted to have a meaningful impact on my classroom, my school, and my community, it had to be sustainable. I had to prioritize and learn from my teammates. because we are stronger when we're together. Essentially, I had to keep the main thing. My relationships and how the students felt about their education were the most important aspects of my responsibilities as their social studies teacher. I am by no means looking to minimize the need for content mastery. But I'm saying that your ability to be a human and forget about being the perfect teacher will increase your effectiveness as an educator. I knew this already, right? That seed was planted during my student teaching, but it took a couple of years for me to realize that. Now I'm sharing this story because I don't want you to, waste 4 years, thinking in the same way. My message to you is don't wait to order. Falling asleep at your desk or holding your breath until Friday afternoon should not be a badge of honor. Find your balance within your identity as a teacher, to work with your colleagues, setting goals for improvement, trying new things, taking risks, and making sure that the same mistakes that I made you don't experience. The future leaders and the problem solvers of the world are counting on you. You don't want to be the teacher in the lunchroom who says, "Is it Friday yet?" You want to have the quality of life that comes with, "Hey, are you excited to learn today? Are you ready to crush this lesson? Are you ready to have a great experience?" In order to shorten that learning curve, I want to introduce you to a cohort of some of my dear friends who also happen to be rockstar teachers. We are part of the New Jersey County Teacher of the Year cohort, or NJCTY for short. We're a group of over 100 active members who are making it our mission to help pre-service and early service teachers by scaling out real mentorship. Right? Similar stories to the story I'm sharing with you right now. You might have seen our table outside. We're the ones kind of like awkwardly standing right by the walkway. We'll be out there after this. We also have a Twitter handle, right? So if you're on Twitter, and you should be as an educator, it's a great resource. The department is one of them. Look us up, R3Teach. Also, we have an email, right? When you get into your first job and you're looking for to grow your network and more perspective, right? We have a helpline, right? njctyleads@gmail.com. I'll say it one more time for you guys. njctyleads@gmail.com is a great way to reach out, right? Sometimes your school, you might not have someone who's, in your content area. We have hundreds of teachers across the state that are ready to help you. All right, you didn't make it this far in this profession. You didn't get honored here today because you dislike people, right? So strengthen those interpersonal skills and lock arms with our tribe, right? The tribe of educators, right, who in June are excited about next September in the school year. The rest of the cohort feels like, the best professional development they get, right, is that coffee clutch in the morning, right? Those real connections, and we want to scale that out on a digital platform across the state. I'm not promising that we will fix all of your teaching issues, but I'm promising that these County Teachers of the Year and State Teachers of the Year, Milken Award winners, are committed to moving education forward in the state. There's a commonly used proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Its origins are questionable, but its wisdom isn't. Especially when you're in the people business like education, right? That old James Bond or that Lone Ranger mythos of the 20th century is no more. All right, in 2019, we need each other, right? We need to lock arms as a tribe. When we look for our students to collaborate with one another, why would we ignore that same advice and try to white knuckle it through those difficult situations? Lastly, as mentioned before, the best aspect of this job, right, is that one day the distinguished clinical interns are going to be up here speaking. All right, county, state, or national teacher of the year. That's the awesome thing about teaching. All right, we take care of our own, we promote our own, we champion our own. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to connecting with you guys. Keep fighting the good fight.